The 2024 Riverside City Council elections are gearing up. We take a first look at how candidates took to the stage to make their case in front of Riverside residents.
A destructive agricultural pest is sweeping the Riverside County of crop production. What you need to know.
An earthquake rattling the Inland Empire last month. How you can prepare for it. And the victorious high school students putting Riverside on the map. CBU TV starts now. Hello, my name is Amy Ferguson.
And I'm Johaidi Haudei. Thank you for joining us.
We start with national news here. The race for the GOP nomination continues with former President Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. As the fight for delegates across all states is gearing up, the candidates are making their remarks on the stage. Despite Trump's triumphs in Iowa and New Hampshire, Haley showing no signs of backing down.
And then we saw in New Hampshire it became a two-person race.
And President Joe Biden claiming his own win at the primaries in New Hampshire. He's set to hit the stage on February 3rd in South Carolina for the Democratic presidential primary.
And right here in Riverside, our own city elections are also revving up. 5 elected offices are up for election on March 5th. Earlier this week, candidates took it to the forum. We join now with our reporter Noemi Solorzano, who has more information on the race. Noemi?
That's right, Johari. Candidates for Ward 1 set the scene for what their campaign is going to continue to look like. And remember, downtown Riverside is the epicenter of Ward 1, Cal Baptist lying in Ward 5. And tonight they talked about many issues ranging from homelessness to housing to law enforcement, homelessness being the most anticipated topic of tonight. Take a listen to what some of the voters are saying about what they believe the candidates address well.
I think Philip Falcone and Haas Watanabe are the two candidates who have spent the time, done their homework, and have a clear vision for Riverside.
I think Philip probably has the most set plan, but I think Kayla has the strongest connection to the people that need the help, and her heart is in the right place.
Now, ballots are expected to be mailed out as early as next week, with candidates continuing their canvassing around the Riverside area up until election night, March 5th. Johari?
Great coverage from Noemi. Thank you. An urgent warning for produce and for farmers in Riverside, California. As an oriental fruit fly issues a county-wide quarantine, officials are reiterating that no crops are going in or out. Our reporter Johari Haudei with more on this story.
A small insect is threatening the massive crops in the county of Riverside, prompting a county-wide quarantine.
It's a lot, and other growers around here are having the same problem.
The oriental fruit fly, an unfamiliar species, is already causing turmoil in the area.
It's not native to California, and as such, there aren't natural defenses.
In a swift move to try and prevent the spread, the CDFA is mandating a quarantine to all farmers. But in what areas are they? In
a part of Riverside County, but really the major part of the incident that we're working on right now, is in San Bernardino County.
Down the street of Victoria Avenue, many local farmers such as Guillermo Landaverde, owner of Alabas Oranges, are struggling due to this mandate.
Con este problema no tenemos libertad de vender la naranja de la forma que la estábamos vendiendo los años anteriores. Nos tenemos que someter a un proceso y va a necesitarse sprayar ciertos químicos por 8 semanas. Son 8 aplicaciones y de la forma que lo están estipulando es que el Estado está viendo cada vez que hacemos una aplicación.
It's gonna wipe that out.
Dan Schulte also owns Local Harvest and is frustrated with the mandate as well.
Right now, I'm sitting on about 750,000 pounds of oranges that I can't do anything with.
The CDFA has not moved the mandate as of now. They advise people traveling into California and receiving shipments from around the world to not pack a pest, to slow down and prevent further invasion. For CBU TV, this is Johaidi Haudei.
The Inland Empire felt a shakeup into the new year. Reporter Lillian Santos spoke to safety services on how they're taking precautions.
Earlier this month, California has been hit with multiple earthquakes ranging from 4.1 to a 4.2 magnitude, according to the USGS. The Safety Services Department at CBU works to ensure the safety of students, even when it comes to earthquakes. John Freeze, Director of Safety Services, explains the role they play after an earthquake.
Our safety team has to do the immediate assessment of damage and injuries and be able to provide emergency food and water for a time while we wait for outside emergency services.
The safety services procedures are especially important for those living on campus.
For our on-campus residential areas, each area has its own evacuation plan, and the resident advisors, the students who manage each floor, are trained on the evacuation procedures, and we test those every fall. So in the event of an earthquake, each residential area would have its evacuation plan in place, and if it's a serious earthquake, our teams would go out and meet with the resident directors and advisors.
The Safety Services Department encourages students to visit their Inside CBU account and click on the Safety Services tab in order to find the CBU Emergency Management Plan for more information. For CBU TV, Lillian Santos.
Well, if you're looking to update that new headshot, the CBU Career Center has opened up a photo booth. Check this out. Students can take professional headshots from the booth. All you have to do is walk in. No appointments required.
Finally, the California School of the Deaf in Riverside is celebrating their second straight CIF football championship. Brett Rosen has the story on determination and victory.
This is a typical weekday afternoon for California School for the Deaf Riverside, where student athletes are working on their explosiveness with power cleans. For a football program with everything to prove, they have shown up and shown out with back-to-back championships. With a high school with only about 120 students, it's about getting utility players that are willing to be game changers.
I have the luxury of having a long list of students who can play the game. If we got injuries, you got to use players in different positions. So that's real key, having them know several roles. So they could be used as a backup if necessary.
With running a dominant football program, nothing comes too easy. And with injuries, you have to have your best players step up in the big moments, even if they are not veterans.
Last year, my freshman year, I pretty much depended a lot on the other players that were older than me. In the beginning, we had some injuries and we lost some games. But from there, we just kind of stepped it up and just did what we needed to do. Our championship game, we had 2 players that got injured, so I just had to really depend on the other players to step up and do their job.
Nothing is ever easily handed to someone in sports. In a championship game being down early and having key injuries, the CSDR Cubs had to get through adversity to reign supreme yet again.
Yeah, when we got down 14-0 in the first quarter, my thought process was like, oh man, what are we gonna do? But just don't show. I didn't want to show the players the frustration, you know. I just kind of encouraged them to just play their game.
After winning back-to-back championships for the state of California in football, for CSDR, the only goal is to get a three-peat. For CBTV, I am Brett Rosen.
What an inspiring story.
Truly inspirational to hear such a story. Well, that's all we have for today. Make sure to follow us on all social media. Until next time.